Wild River Country. It's Arkansas's newest, wettest, wildest attraction.
1985, the year the ocean arrived in Arkansas.
Catch a wave. It's a wave sitting on top of the world.
Over the next 3 decades, Wild River Country would become an Arkansas landmark, a place for field trips, company picnics, a place where families flocked to cool off.
As a kid, I just remember it being really fun, and it felt so big.
Teresa Arago reflects on the first time she visited the park as a preteen back in the 90s.
And I filled out my journal that night. I went to Wild River Country today. It was awesome. One day I want to work there.
And that's exactly what she went on to do. She started as a lifeguard during college and worked her way up to assistant manager, a position she held until 2007.
This job totally redirected my life.
And now, standing outside the gates, she sees a shell of the place she treasured.
This is the end of an era.
Pieces of slides sitting in the parking lot, for sale signs along Crystal Hill Road.
It's heartbreaking, honestly. I think of what our community has lost.
THV11 visited Wild River Country in May of 2019 as crews cleaned up from flooding days before opening for the season that would be its last. The park never opened in 2020. Not just the result of a pandemic, but also problems behind the scenes. Court records show the park's former owners struggled to pay taxes over the past decade. According to our partners at Arkansas Business, JTS Capital Group of Waco, Texas, recovered Wild River Country late last year at a $1.5 million foreclosure sale. So what comes next? We've reached out to the property's current owner as well as the commercial real estate group that has it listed for sale. Both declined our request for an interview, but the view from the sky makes one thing clear. The water park many have come to know over the past 35 years is no more. Vertigo, Pipeline, Accelerator, and the other slides, so many new, are no longer towering above the park. Instead, their platforms stand bare. The crystal blue water in the wave pool in Lazy River replaced with brown.
When you're passing by now, it's just an empty lot. It's getting to an empty place.
Michael Schwarz, founder of AbandonedAR.com, has researched and written about the water park.
I always try to ask myself, like, okay, what is it we can do to either reverse the situation or, prevent it from happening to other places that we cherish? He
believes in this case, it's too late. Photos posted on the website in February show extensive damage and deterioration, trash, and apparent vandalism. North Little Rock police have responded to the park more than 24 times since it closed in 2019. Among the calls, reports of theft and criminal trespassing. Schwarz and Arago agree the park's condition left its new owners with very few options.
It's not the person who bought it's fault that it's in the state it's in, and they're just trying to get their money's worth out of it, so I can't really fault them for that.
The 31-acre site is up for sale, priced at $2.9 million. The real estate listing calls it a former water park with improvements on site, and it says it would be an ideal site for a business park, industrial, commercial, and major retail.
I just hate to see it go.
Decades after her first visit here, Arago reflects on the many laughs, the screams, the life-changing experiences.
I can't imagine how many thousands of kids got their start working here. How many families this was their place.
Fond memories met with a sense of grief as she thinks about the future generations that will miss out on Wild River Country.
It breaks a lot of hearts, I would imagine, and not just mine.
Along Highway 7 in Marble Falls between Jasper and Harrison sits an iconic attraction, a park treasured by so many.
Before we even moved to the state, I remember my family traveling to go to be a part of Dogpatch.
Many people of a certain age have stories about Dogpatch USA.
It's different than driving into a giant parking lot, coming off the freeway somewhere and seeing all the big rides off in the distance. It was different. And even as a young kid, I remember that, and I'm like, wow, this is really cool.
Dogpatch has a story of its own, one with more twists and turns than the roller coasters that once stood here. The park, based on the popular Lil Abner comic strip, opened in 1968, welcoming 300,000 annual visitors at one point. It played host to thrill rides, a water slide, trout pond, railroad, grist mill, and a downtown, ultimately closing 25 years later.
When Dogpatch opened in 1968 and then it closed in 1993, it wasn't just owned by one company. It changed owners several times, and each time an owner contributed to why that park ultimately didn't succeed.
Michael Schwarz is president of the Abandoned Atlas Foundation, which highlights abandoned places and their potential for new life. Dogpatch USA is one of those places.
For years, Dogpatch sat completely abandoned. I mean, there was an old water slide, all the buildings in the downtown, the train tracks, the train station were still there, and it was just all grown up.
In the years that followed its closure, several investors made unsuccessful attempts at revitalizing the park. In 2020, it sold once again.
Well, it looks like Dogpatch USA is finally getting the restoration people across Arkansas and the South have been waiting for.
Billionaire conservationist and Bass Pro Shops owner Johnny Morris bought the 400-acre Dogpatch USA property for just over $1 million. When you heard that Johnny Morris had purchased this piece of property, what went through your head?
Well, first, I said it was a lie. I didn't think that he was actually going to acquire it.
Matt Bell, executive director of Explore Harrison, is thankful he was wrong.
We're just thrilled. We are absolutely thrilled.
The view from above shows the transformation underway. Details remain few and far between. We reached out to Bass Pro Communications. The company said that it didn't have anyone available for an interview or an update to provide right now. However, during a September Buffalo River Conservation Committee meeting, Morris's representative shared the space will become Marble Falls Nature Park.
Mr. Morris's goal is, again, natural conservancy, respecting the environment, creating opportunities for people to get outdoors and be engaged in nature.
Morris is the brains behind several other Ozark nature projects, including Dogwood Canyon, the model for the Marble Falls Park. It includes a restaurant, trout fishing, grazing livestock, and wildlife.
We thought we'd go down there before he finishes his massive refurb and kind of peek in and take a look.
John Burton is a Branson-based travel blogger who captured these photos of the project.
You know, you see this old tram just sitting there and a water wheel that's not moving anymore, and a train tracks, and I'm like, wow. And then you can just kind of put yourself back.
And it's this natural beauty Morris, local leaders, and tourists are counting on.
The fact that he's going to capitalize on that and preserve that property and allow tourists to come in and see what the Ozark Mountains and our natural beauty is all about is awesome.
The themed rooms and walking out with your food like you're in a city street in Mexico with the balconies. Everything was different about it than any restaurant that you've ever been in.
It's nostalgic, unique, and ingrained in the memories of millions of Arkansans. It's Casa Bonita.
People would line around to come.
Yeah, all the way down the hallway. But if we had a line out the door, within 15 minutes, they could have their food.
The Little Rock Casa Bonita location opened in 1969 at the corner of University and Asher Avenue. After brief rebranding in the early 90s as Casa Viva, it retained its original name until it closed in 2005.
I started to work here November the 19th, 1973. The restaurant had been going for a couple of years. And my first job was filling up hot sauce jars.
Who is this?
That's the fellow that just got that car.
Ben Leonard would eventually supervise the Little Rock location and multiple others, making Casa Bonita his home for 17 years.
You became an expert on Casa Bonita.
Well, I can make you a good taco and a good enchilada, let's put it that way.
Little Rock's Casa Bonita eventually becoming one of the highest volume Mexican restaurants in the United States.
One of the largest days that we ever had here, we served over 3,600 people.
People from across Arkansas came to find new exciting rooms to explore, to raise the flag, to let servers know they were ready for more food, and to walk away with what felt like gold from that beloved treasure room.
A waiter would go to the table and there was a child there. They'd give them a candy money, and they would go spend the candy money.
The only treasure now, the memories.
I just remember being upset. Always hoped it would open back up because it sat vacant for so long, but it never did.
Do people want Casa Bonita back in Little Rock?
People want Casa Bonita back.
For years, groups formed trying to somehow get it back, but nothing ever happened. Now there's renewed hope. Food blogger Kevin Shalin says with the creators of South Park buying the Denver location, it could reinvigorate the brand.
If the Denver location got back on its feet and was doing well, why couldn't it start popping up around the country again? Why couldn't it come back to Little Rock where it had this tremendous following?
People flooding Shalin's social media at any mention of it.
It's just an all-in-one experience, and it wasn't perfect, but it was just so appealing to a broad range of people.
Do people still ask you about Casa Bonita when you see them?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Leonard said he believes there's still a place for Casa Bonita in town, and he believes it could be a success story again.
Might take a while, but I think it would. Have to take someone that was willing to stick it out.
As Shalin says, there's just no place quite like Casa Bonita.
In restaurants, it's so much more than just the food. It's that nostalgic factor, and with Casa Bonita, it's like that more than just about any place in Little Rock food history, really.